Hey everyone, last month we took a long-awaited trip to Japan for 2 weeks and it was incredible. This was my third time visiting and my boyfriend's first time visiting. I want to share all about the trip, and at the end of the video I'm going to show you all the gaming related pickups I got in Japan. Yes, we're going to watch my vacation slides. Our trip actually started in Hawaii. We wanted to break up the long flight, so we stopped in Waikiki for a couple of days. Hawaii was perfect weather, beautiful beaches, and it was paradise. But we weren't there for long, so on to Japan. We landed at Haneda Airport and spent our first few days in Shibuya. Just a side note here, customs was a nightmare. After a 9-hour flight, we had to stand in line for almost 2 hours, waiting to be cleared through customs. Definitely the worst part of an overall amazing trip. Anyway, we stayed in an Airbnb right outside of the city while we recovered from jet lag and got our bearings. While in Shibuya, I did get to visit a Surugaya store. Surugaya is a cool store that sells toys, movies, music, video games, and a whole lot more. This one was unfortunately very picked over and super busy. I did find a game I wanted, but the line to check out was so long, I started getting flashbacks to our customs fiasco, and I ended up leaving without buying anything. Neither of us are big city kind of guys, so we planned most of our trip outside of the metropolitan areas. Our next stay was in Minakami in Gunma Prefecture at the Matsunoi Hot Spring Resort. It's looking. I had a really great time there, relaxing in all of the different onsens. It's located in the beautiful countryside, and just walking around was relaxing and a lot of fun. Onsens, by the way, are the hot springs, the bathhouses, and the traditional inns surrounding them. Matsunoi has indoor and outdoor facilities, and it felt so good to soak in the hot springs. So relaxing and so peaceful. I really miss it, and this may have been my favorite part of the trip. Next location, we stayed in a charming Airbnb in Gujo Hachiman in Gifu Prefecture. Gujo Hachiman is a quiet, small riverside town, and we had so much fun walking around and exploring. The food was incredible, and there were a lot of beautiful traditional temples and buildings to visit, including Hachiman Castle. The town is also known for being the main producer of Japan's food replicas. The food replicas are used by restaurants all over Japan to show what kind of dishes they serve and to attract passersby. We visited where they actually make the replicas, and I even got some replicas of my own. After 4 beautiful days there, it was time for the last leg of our trip, and we ended the last few days staying in Shinjuku at another Airbnb. There we met up with my longtime friend and his family. This was actually when I did most of my shopping. My friends wanted to go back to Shibuya, and while we were there, we visited the Nintendo store, the Pokemon store, and the Capcom store, which are all right next to each other and are all super busy. Like I said, we'd been planning this trip for a long time. We got a lot of great deals on lodging and travel. Not to mention, the yen is really weak right now, so everything was basically 40% off. We had an amazing time, and we will definitely be going back again. Okay, pick up no jikan desu. Here are all my pickups from Japan. I'm going to start with the only retro game I got, and that's Mr. Driller A, Fushigi no Bacteria. This is on my top 10 games of all time video I did. And when I did that video, I realized a couple of them I didn't have physical versions of. And so I thought, man, when I'm going to Japan, I've got to find this game. And I did, complete in box, and it is in perfect condition, and it wasn't that expensive. But does anyone know a good place to get protective covers for Japanese Game Boy Advance games? If you do, please leave a comment. I need to get a nice, clear, protective case for this. This game actually came out while I was in Japan, and I went to the store the next day and grabbed it. That's Suika game, the watermelon game. Now, apparently there's exclusive stuff on the cartridge that's not on the digital version. This was a very cheap import, probably under $20. This is a really fun puzzle game that most of you, I'm sure, have heard of, but if you haven't, you should give it a try. It's really fun. Okay, next is a game about fireworks. Fantavision 2020X. I think the original Fantavision was a launch title for the PlayStation 2. If not, it was an early title for the PlayStation 2. This one, I'm pretty sure was developed as a VR game, but it also plays in non-VR. I don't have the PlayStation VR headset, and it works fine in the PlayStation 5. And it's all in English. Again, this was very cheap, so I thought I'd give it a shot. It's kind of one of those old school Sony kind of quirky PlayStation games that you don't see a lot of anymore. This is Yohane Blaze in the Deep Blue. This is like a 2D Metroidvania starring Yohane and I guess all her friends. Whoever Yohane is, I don't know who she is, but I like her games. So yeah, so I grabbed this one. I've played just a tiny bit of it, but I'm really liking it. It's a lot of cool abilities and it looks great. Nice pixel art. So this is Kamibako Mythology of Cube. Now this one's kind of a disappointment because I was really looking forward to this game. There's a demo for it on the PlayStation 5 store, and it's all in English there, but unfortunately there's no English on this disc. I don't know if they'll update that later so that there is English, but yeah, it's been released in Japan for a while now. It still says coming soon on the PSN store. So I don't know what's up with that, if they're taking their time with the English translation or patching things up before they release it here. But I'm hoping they'll release a patch and then this will be playable in English. Those are all the games I got in Japan, but I've got a lot more gaming related stuff. So let's look at that now. This is the Code of Princess Sound and Visual book, which really is just like a CD case with a few pages in it. I was confused. I kind of thought this was like going to be an art book, but it's really just like a mini soundtrack with just a couple pages of art. So I don't know, the game is pretty cool. I love the art. It's by Kinu Nishimura. She's done a lot of work with Capcom, and I think she was the lead designer on this game, or maybe even, you know, part of the director or something. She had a big hand in making this Code of Princess game, so I was excited to see more of her art, but unfortunately there was just not a lot there. Now here is a real art book. This is the Valkyria Chronicles art book. That was a really great deal because if you try and buy the English version, I think it's going to cost you $100-something to get. With it being an art book, I don't really need to be able to read any of the text, but Valkyria Chronicles has an amazing visual style, and so I'm really excited to finally have this art book for it. Also, it's in great condition. It is used, but is in excellent condition. So while we were in Japan, we went to Tower Records and wasn't planning on getting anything there. I just wanted to look, but we went up to the game soundtrack floor and I got a few things. Katamari Damacy soundtrack and We Love Katamari soundtrack. These are incredible soundtracks. The first one especially, I mean, just a classic soundtrack. And I was so excited to see these there, and you know, I couldn't pass them up. I had to get both of them. Even though the first one is probably my favorite game and soundtrack, but this one is good as well. There's a lot of reused themes, but also newer stuff too. And so I also got the Nier Automata original soundtrack, which I beat that game probably a couple years ago and loved the soundtrack. It was really, really good. I love that there are 8-bit renditions of the themes as well. So good. The music perfectly complements the game. Since you're in sort of a futuristic, sort of post-apocalyptic, or just maybe in just a neglected world, the music really lends itself to that, and it conveys sort of the, I don't know, loneliness or what's the word? It really conveys the sort of desolate feeling of that world. I actually ended up grabbing quite a few toys while I was in Japan, and so let's start with this little guy from Tech Romancer by Capcom, a Dreamcast game and an arcade game. I got 3 of the robot mech fighters from that game. It's kind of an obscure game, but I really got into it when it came out. I still have my copy. Tech Romancer. It's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's not going to be releasing on the new Capcom Fighting Collection. It would have been perfect on there. It was one of their 3D fighters around the same time as Power Stone and Plasma Sword that are also on that collection. So maybe in Volume 3, look for Tech Romancer. Miss Jill Valentine.
I'm a member of STARS.
Perfect to add to my Resident Evil collection there. I got these two little Mario Wonder figures in a box of candy, and I didn't know that. I just thought I was buying little Mario figures. But yeah, chocolate egg toys. By the way, I haven't played Mario Wonder, but it looks kind of cool. Have any of you guys played Mario Wonder? What did you think about it? This is Sakura from Sakura Wars. She came with legs that were supposed to come down here, but I couldn't get them to do right, so I just took them off. She just stands on her. She's a little shorter. She's just a little shorter. I've never actually played Sakura Wars, but I have played a fan-translated spin-off game on the Game Boy Color. And I played a little bit of the, I think it's the 2020 Sakura Wars game that came out on PlayStation 4. But I've never played the original. But I have seen the anime, and she's kind of an iconic character. So I wanted to get that figure. And I got these two. They're actually, I haven't opened them yet. I'm going to. But from what I understand, they were a pre-order bonus when you ordered Hammer and Hero on the PSP, which is a game I'm really kind of obsessed with. I don't know why. But I'm looking for a nice copy on eBay. They're almost $100 and I don't want to pay that. I was shocked to see these. As soon as I, researched what they were, I was like, oh my God, I gotta have those. They had figures for that kind of obscure game. This is from 2008, and they're still brand new. Like I said, I'll open them. Maybe I'll have them in the background in a future video. Okay, so in Shibuya, in the Parco department store, they have a section, the 6th floor, I believe, is a section where they have the Nintendo store, the Pokemon store, the Capcom store. I also saw a Koei Tecmo store while I was there, and a few other stores, and it's just so cool. And so while I was at the Capcom store, I had to get a few things. So let me show you. This is kind of obscure. This is a game they just released for, I think it's called Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. And I guess this is just like an acrylic stand. You just set it on your desk or something, which I'm not too crazy about, but it was like, it's something with Kunitsugami on it. So I had to get it. Well, I actually went to the Capcom store a couple of times, and when I went back the last time, these had sold out. So I was glad I got one. Okay, now these things are so cool. I could not believe this. Does this look familiar? This is a Resident Evil handgun ammo box. Isn't that so cool? What it actually is a, if you can read that, a lunch case. It's like a plastic lunch you can put your lunch in, but I mean, I'm keeping this sealed. I'm not gonna use the lunch case. This is just so cool. Look at that. I have my very own ammo box. So, whenever I'm running low. Okay, and now this is really cool too as well. Actual first aid spray. Isn't that awesome? I wish it was life-size, like a big, aerosol looking can, like a hairspray. All this is just like a little water bottle. You can just put water in it and like a little spritz bottle or something. And so I actually picked a few of these up while I was in the Capcom store, and I'm inching towards 500 subscribers, and I'm thinking about doing a giveaway once I hit 500, and this is the prize. So I'll let you know as I get closer to 500 how that's gonna pan out. So better subscribe if you're not. Hai, owarimashita. Thank you for watching, and let me ask, do you have plans to go to Japan, or have you been recently? Let me know your experience in the comments. Bye bye for now. Ja ne!